tonight's host, Derek. I'm the host of Talking with Faith People. Today, I'd like to talk about moratoria, or lack thereof, among other things. Something that occurred to me. I love you too, darling. I expect you're probably going to be up earlier than usual, you know?
Yeah, I set an alarm for 10 o'clock so I could take a shower.
Okay, well, regardless of that, you and I slept the whole night long together in bed.
Yeah, is that good?
That's wonderful, but it means you've already gotten like 10 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So you're probably not. If you find yourself waking up earlier than that, don't be like, "What's wrong with me?"
Okay.
I just be like, "I guess I got enough sleep."
Yeah.
I love you. Sleep well.
Love you.
So that was Rachel. She's going upstairs to go to bed. Well, the best laid plans of mice and men, as they say. Last night struck me that I'm entering into a period of my life where I'm just gonna have to be okay with medium. You know, it's like in some sense I spent my whole life chasing highs, avoiding lows, and avoiding mediums as well. You know, I like to party. You know, in Eric's vision of the world, he's got kind of a Hunter S. Thompson life. You know, where he does an unfair amount of drugs, constantly having fun. Unfortunately, that's not really how life works. You can't constantly have fun. But one thing I learned yesterday, I guess it was, or the day before, was pretty critically important is that the moratorium on vacation rentals that we believed was in place here in Mariposa, they decided against it or removed it or whatever. So our whole big plan is somewhat predicated on the fact that well, we didn't really think about it like this, but somewhat predicated on the fact that we couldn't possibly do vacation rentals. However, now that I know that that moratorium is listed, naturally I'm thinking maybe our best course of action is to verbo this house. This house is absolutely perfect for a vacation rental. 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and it's got a little wilderness car to drive on the wilderness roads if you wanted, you know? Um, I'm not sure how much we could get a night for it, but during the peak season, I know that people in town coming to our wedding were spending like $300 a night on a hotel room. So if I mean, I suspect we could easily get 500 a night for this place. The only question is, how many nights a year could we have it booked? Obviously, we'd live someplace else. And additionally, how difficult is it to deal with the work part of that, you know? And if we were to get property management to do it, how much would that cut into our income, you know? So we're meeting with the realtor today, and I'm going to talk to him about that. I'm now thinking it's more likely than not we're not going to sell this house, that we're still going to move. Kind of big piece of information that I was missing. Because when we bought this house, we were told, and I appreciate this about David, he's very much full disclosure, you know. He informed us that no, you cannot verbo Airbnb or anything like that here in Mariposa right now. But that's changed, I guess. So naturally, I got up this morning saying, finally, it's Thursday. Tuesday's the worst day. Wednesday's not much better. Finally, it's Thursday. There are good cartoons on Thursday, including My Daughter Left Home and Returned an S-Rank Adventurer. I really am fond of that one. But it's too early for cartoons to come out. I imagine I might take a little nap before we go into town to meet with the realtor. And I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm not feeling very enthusiastic or anything, but I'm also not feeling depressed or anything. I just have this sense of, well, things are going to be kind of boring and plain for a while. Obviously, we have our Christmas party coming up, and we're really looking forward to that. And then we're still going to have to buy a couple of properties. But I crunched some numbers yesterday. I did a lot of number crunching yesterday, really. And what I determined is, for us to make this whole thing work, we need to get 0.008 times the purchase price in rent each month. So for a $300,000 home, that means we need to get $2,500 a month. What's the crunchiest of the numbers? 0.008. But I'm thinking we may be able to actually get 0.01 out of this thing in vacation rentals. If we could get 0.01 out of this as vacation rentals, that would be 60 grand a year. Then if we were to get this one property on Triangle Road, it's got 2 one-bedroom houses on it, each of which could rent for probably $1,300. That Triangle Road property, we got each of those renting at $1,500. That's at 0.0086, which is great. That's like a high return, right? At 0.0086, you're getting like 32,000 a year, something like that, out of that. So Now, obviously, the taxes and stuff, but I need to talk to David, and I guess Concierge, his real estate company, does property management. So I'd have to look into that, but also it's conceivable we could manage it ourselves, like do the Verba thing, etc. So in many ways that would make things a lot easier. In some ways it would make things harder. I'll have to get my glasses. Oh, trouble. You have such an anxious attachment style. That was me farting. Don't worry about it. Read an article yesterday about cats and their owners and their attachment styles. Trouble definitely has anxious attachment style, whereas Rachel Capillo and I all have what I would consider a healthy attachment style or independent attachment style. They say cat owners or dog owners too fall into two categories. That they're either anxious and need their pet around them all the time and are constantly worried about them. Like that's like Delilah. That's how she is with her cat. Or they're concerned about their pet impacting their independence. That's like me and Rachel. But obviously we love our cats immensely. And one of the factors in considering all this stuff is we know it's hard on the cats to move. It's going to be especially difficult on Trouble, who's very anxious anyway. But like I said to Rachel yesterday, we cannot be making decisions like this based on the cats. Obviously, we're not going to abandon the cats or anything, but they're just going to have to adapt with us. 8 is a very crunchy number. 2 seems to be made out of nougat, so it's not so crunchy. 2 is the most nougaty number. Okay, time for the first bong rip of the day. Trouble has to reestablish his territory. Well, I mean, when I say he's got an anxious attachment style, I mean, cereal though. Like, this cat, he's, when we sleep, he tries to sleep on my feet so that he can always tell when I'm going to get up and move. When we go out of town for a day, he barely eats anything because he needs us to watch him eat for some reason. 7 is smooth, but 70 is moose tracks. Combine it with 8 and you have crunchy peanut butter. 78. 78 is crunchy peanut butter. Keep that in mind. And obviously, I'm not on any speed today or anything. 9 is so anti-Semitic. 9 is continually posting anti-Israel rhetoric on the internet. What about 10 though? 10's a good number. You know what I keep doing in my math, which is the good kind of mistake to make rather than the bad kind of mistake to make. I keep doing math in which I think there are 10 months in a year instead of 12. So I'm like, okay, this much per month times 10. So I keep coming up smaller than I should because I keep forgetting about 2 months. There should be 10 months. Why are there 12 months? Just because of the moon? It's like the months don't even line up with the moon anyway. So you might as well just have 12 months. I mean, 10 months. Each of them be 35.6 days long. So who agrees? Let's convert to a 10-month calendar. So things will be decimal instead of whatever 12 is. You know how like 2 is binary and 10 is decimal? What's 12? There's this guy, Ice Wolf. He left a comment on a recent video saying, Eric, I'm a math major and I frequently can't understand what you're talking about in these videos. I'm like, well, okay. Fine. But I don't believe I'm talking about much math, you know? It's like, there's not a whole lot of math to cognitive functions. If he's saying, since I'm a math major, I should be able to understand anything, well, I don't know about that. I've never been a math major before. If you ask me what the Xth month is, I have to count it up. Oh yeah, I think I can probably get them without doing that, but I'm like that with the alphabet. If I'm trying to figure out alphabetization, like where does L go? I have to go A B C D E F G H I J K L M. Okay, it comes before M. I have to do that. So you and I are in the same boat there about that kind of stuff. What's the 6 months? January, February, March, April, May, June. I'm not like that with months, but I am like that with the alphabet. If you ask me what the X month is, I'm going to say, define your variable. How am I supposed to know? So, flat day. Today's a flat day. I'm gonna have flat days for a while. Maybe until the Christmas party. At which point it's possible my days might become deflattened for a while. And then I'll have flat days again. But, I'm envisioning a life in which, let's say, Rachel and I verbo this place, we're living someplace else. We have another rental going also. Um, like, I don't know if I want to be a cleaning lady per se. Like, every time after people check out, come change the sheets, do all that kind of shit. That's something I'd probably have to hire somebody to do. But I suspect I could manage all the rest of this stuff myself. Uh, which probably includes the like dating profile of the house, That's going to be pretty critical how you take pictures of the house, how you, etc. How you write up the text on it. So, obviously, there's going to be a process as well, like sign up for Verbo and get approved or whatever. But I really believe that this house here is about as perfect as you can possibly get for a Verbo house. We're within 3 hours of the Bay Area, so we've got large population of people who might want to come to the Yosemite area and stay. 3 hours from Sacramento, a large population of people who might want to come to the Yosemite area to stay. An hour and a half from Fresno, a mediumly large size population of people who might want to come to Yosemite. 3 hours from Bakersfield, a medium sized population of people who might want to come to Yosemite. So there are endless amounts of people who are possible easy clients of this house as a Verbo. Additionally, this house has room for a large group with 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a living room that seats 6. We've got 6 chairs in here. And this big TV, we'll have to leave all this shit here, we can replace that stuff. And additionally has easy access to National Forest trails and comes with a little wilderness car that you can drive out there. It's nestled in the corner of the Sierra Nevada mountains and the Yosemite National Forest. Sierra Nevada and the Yosemite National Forests. It's a short drive to the entrance of actual Yosemite. An easy drive, easy, pleasant drive to Yosemite. You gotta go out Triangle Road and then go down that way. There's the entrance, We've never been. We've never been to that entrance anyway. We've been in the other entrance one time. Where are you planning to live? Well, we're going to go look at properties today. We're looking at 3 properties, none of which we're going to want to live in, but one of which we probably will for the time being. But really, all this is contingent on crunching the numbers for the Verbo thing. Um, because I'm not exactly sure what the market would bear for a place like this, but I'm just thinking about how my friends, when they came to the wedding, were spending over sometimes $300 a night to stay in a cheap hotel room in town. It was in July. A hotel room that has one bed and etc. This is a lot better than that. A lot better than that. So surely we could get at least twice as much money for it. It's way more than 2 times better. If you're coming in a group and something's, if you're looking at a hotel room and it's $800 a night, you're going to be like, fuck that noise. But if you're a group of 6 people and you get a 4-bedroom house and you're splitting it or something between 2 families, let's say, well, then all of a sudden you've got yourself a real vacation spot that can accommodate everybody. You got fun things to do if you're into things like that. And the other cool thing would be this. Not that it matters a lot. Why do the streams now line up exactly with when I finish my job for the day? Because our menstrual cycles are aligning. The cool thing also would be during the off season or whenever it's not booked, if Rachel and I feel like taking the little wilderness car out, we could come up here and take it out. It would still be our car. Granted, I don't know. I don't know how well that thing is going to fare with a bunch of random people coming up here and driving it into the mountains and doing off-roading shit with it. Probably not great, but the other thing is I could leave all the big tools here, like the pressure washer and the snow blower. The generator's gonna stay with the house, obviously. Big things that hopefully people won't steal. That's the issue of dealing with vacation rentals is you occasionally get some unsavory types, presumably, who don't respect the property at all and trash it or whatever. But you also kind of hope that, given the nature of the property, especially if it's like at the high end of vacation rental prices, which it should be really, that hopefully you don't get any spring breakers or whatever. Spring break! Look at my tits! So we'll just have to see how that works out. I have to talk to David about it. I got to talk to Delilah. I got to just look into it, research the matter more, see how involved it is doing Verbo. see what the see how much it would cost to get somebody else to run it for me, you know? Yeah, I feel you, Boba Fett. Poor cats. Rachel and I had quite a long conversation about this last night. And my point is just as we are going to have to adapt, the cats are going to have to adapt too, you know? We are a family, and no single family member um, gets to have their interests prioritized at the expense of every other family member. So ultimately, the cats are going to have to man up, particularly Troubles. Capillo's not going to have a problem. I'm not worried about Capillo. I've moved Capillo multiple times. So she's very comfortable moving. She gets the concept of it. She settles right in quickly to the new place. Trouble was very traumatized by the last move. Um, However, he's much more attached to us now than he used to be. And hopefully that'll help ease the trauma of the move. We do know that where we move to from here, we need to stay there for a while, right? We don't want to. We don't want to move them twice in rapid succession, unless it's in very rapid succession, right? So it's a factor, but ultimately we have to make decisions on other factors than that. And once we get this all set up, you know, sometime in the not hopefully too distant future, we'll end up with another place just as nice, but on more land, and that'll be our final destination. So, we will just have to see how that goes. Yes, we will. We will just have to see how that goes. That's the problem with TE in general. You know, TE sucks ass for the following reasons. Well, the whole point about this stream, Bofa, I don't know if you missed the beginning of it, is that Mariposa does not have, as we thought it did, a moratorium on new vacation rentals. They were considering it, either that or it's expired or whatever. But we can do vacation rentals. And learning this just the other day means I have to rethink what to do with this house. This house makes no sense as a month to month rental, but it makes tons of sense as a vacation rental. And the reason for this is that month to month rentals work out like this. At least up here. If you've got a $200,000 2 bedroom, 1 bath house to rent, you could probably get 1,600 for it. You could aim for 2,000. You might get 2,000, but unlikely. You're looking at probably 0.008 of the purchase price of the home per month in rent as the minimum to qualify as getting a good return on investment. Okay? Here for our purposes. So add those contexts. But if I were to try to get now this is a $500,000 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. If I were to try to get okay, well, let's say this. $250,000 house. Let's say I could get $2,000 a month for it. $500,000 house, I would get less than $4,000 a month for it. And that economics works all the way up with rentals. So you're best served to do like there's a property we're looking at that's a $300,000 property that has 2 rentals on it, each of which we could get $1,300 a month for. That turns out to be 0.0086. That's a very good number for month-to-month rentals. Okay? But with this house, if we were to do month-to-month rentals, we'd be looking at the absolute best 0.0075. In other words, $3,000 a month. So it doesn't make any sense for us to rent this month to month. Now that I know vacation rentals are permissible, though, I have no idea what the percentage of this would be as vacation rentals. Vacation rentals, you get a higher amount of money per day, obviously, but it's not occupied all the time. But I suspect that the number could be 0.01 or even higher. .01 would be getting 1% of the purchase price every month in rent. That's a good return. So the funny thing is, I never believed myself good at TE finance stuff. But I'm a smart guy. Smart enough. No, we're not considering moving states. Well, this is the thing, Boba Fett. Regarding that, the vacation rentals, to maximize income from it, we'd have to be hands-on. However, there are also vacation rental property management companies, including the one David works for. So I'll have to crunch those numbers as well, which is to say, what's that final number there that I keep referring to after paying the property management? To what extent also could property management produce a greater number of bookings by being more active regarding listing it, its availability, or oh god damn it. Trouble cats, god damn it. I'm just gonna get smoke a cigarette. I just don't want to deal with this right now. Just leave it alone. What is it? God damn it. Get away. He's got a dead mouse that he's playing with. And it's like, put it underneath the chair. Just stop with that shit. Stop killing the mice. And bringing them inside. I gotta go deal with a dead mouse. Ew. How gross. So obviously, Recently, I want to be as little hands-on as possible, right? But if the economic benefit is significant enough, then I suspect she and I will at least attempt to do some of that work ourselves, you know. And if we find that for whatever reason we just can't do it, I mean, it's not that much work. You're talking about a couple of extraordinarily entitled, lazy people, right? To even be considering doing property management, you know. But not like we have anything else we have to do. You know, in general, I think it will and is already doing me at least a lot of good to do the kind of work I'm currently doing, which is mostly intellectual work, talking to David, looking at real estate stuff, considering options or whatever. And knowing that we're gonna move because of the people doing construction across the street. Will that negatively impact our vacation rental prospects, at least for a little while? Well, maybe, I'm not sure. But you know, again, all that stuff is specific number crunching. Ultimately, at the end of the day, unfortunately, in for us right now and in the situation or whatever, it all comes down to money. We've got to exploit whatever economic opportunity advantage we have maximally. And I am pretty sure, upon reflecting upon it a little bit, that vacation rental in this house is the best such opportunity we have. It could be very lucrative even. But I still plan to do month to month rental, at least one other month to month rental. But in addition to a house that we live in. So we'll see if that option, involving a total of 3 properties, including this one, or my original plan, which is much more complicated. We'll see what the numbers look like for each of them. I gotta get more information, you know. I need to talk to somebody experienced in vacation rentals up here. I don't know my glasses with me. Buy a small. Does that say yacht? No. Absolutely not. zero chance of that happening. I hate boats. Boats and I do not get along. We're like born mortal enemies. If I were meant to be on a boat, I don't know. I'd like fish. What does one go on a boat for? There's only two possible reasons. You're traveling in a horribly inefficient way. Okay, three possible reasons. You're traveling in a horribly inefficient way. You work on a boat, or you're going fishing. The only three possible reasons you go on a boat. And it's fine to go on like a little boat on a smooth lake. That's fine. Any bigger than that, you're just asking for trouble. You're just saying, here, induce vomiting. My mom, back in the day, when she was hired by the army to teach at an army base in Europe, her transport that they bought her ticket for was not an aeroplane, which I guess were too fancy back then or something. I'm not sure. She traveled by ocean liner. She describes the trip as involving stretches in the North Atlantic where, like, she was the only person in the dining room because she didn't get seasick at all. And she ate a lot of food at the time, she said. She was very skinny and always hungry. And she loved the food on the cruise ship. Am I open to doing a typing session today? No, not today because we've got this meeting with the realtor. I mean, if you want to do it this morning, I could do it. It might help get my mind off of this stuff to do something else. But Rachel's getting up at no, not today. Not today. Today's not a good day. Because after this, I plan to watch a couple of cartoons that come out on Thursday. And Rachel's going to get up at 11 to get ready to go. We might go into town early to get lunch. Then we go to meet with the lawyer. Then the whole afternoon is dealing with that. And when we get home, I'll be looking at things I've written down in this little book. So that's where the muggity meets the meow. We're as in gear as we can possibly be, Boba Fett. You can't move any faster than this with real estate. You know, you gotta look at listings, you gotta, yeah. We are as in gear as we can be. Am I on something, Eric? I had a call and came back. No, I'm not on anything except I smoked a few bowls, And that's one of the things that, like, every morning I wake up and I sigh. No speed today. But as I was saying before, I talked with Rachel last night in bed about how we're going to have to work on doing a better job of SI shifting gears, like shifting time frames. For SI people, I think they're better able to deal with things on the smaller time frames. So it's like, well, we're doing this during this portion of the day, and then when we come home, we're gonna cook this for dinner, and then we're gonna watch this on TV, and so it's like when you get to those segmented parts of the day, that's what your attention's on. SI people have a much easier time of doing that, I think. Intuitives tend to be stuck in longer time frames. What kind of prescription do you get? Are you getting speed? I went to the doctor today for a prescription because the last one had some issues. They want to re-diagnose me again. The doctor was like, "Did you consider the idea that you're just too smart to cope with society?" I'm like, "Lady, as flattering as that might sound, it's not a problem I can solve." Um, yeah. You should say, "Well, if I'm too smart to cope with society, then surely I'm smart enough to know what drugs I should be on." I can cope with society just fine, as long as I'm protectively cocooned away from it. KE, Doctor Fett has a prescription for you. What do you think of it? What do you think of Doctor Fett's prescription? I'm thinking possibly Boba Fett is saying he's not just a doctor, but a pharmacist as well. In some ways, it can. You're just not working hard enough. Being useful. What a horrible requirement, huh? I should have a t-shirt made that says, "But I don't want to be useful." Okay, anxious attachment style. I was very informed by that article I read about cat attachment style yesterday. Very informed. Anyway, Delilah and her cat seem to be a match. They both have anxious attachment style. But all Capillo, Rachel, and me, we all have independent attachment style. Only Trouble has anxious attachment style. He's lucky he's a cat and so lovable. I just would have, yeah, just be like, enough already. Oh, yes, you're a good kitty. He's not very good at eating because he's an ENFJ. Huh. Oh, yes. What a good kitty. What an anxious kitty. Hello. Well, I guess he's done eating now. So that's good news for us. Means we're allowed to leave the kitchen. Well, no, I don't mean avoidant. According to the maybe they do call it avoidant, but I don't remember the exact term they used for the other one besides anxious. It might have been avoidant, but it stressed that the people who have that style are concerned that the pet relationship will cut into their independence. So Capillo has that kind of attachment style. Because it's not like she avoids us or that we don't engage in plenty of love and pets and she likes to be near us and stuff. She's just not anxious about it. I mean, I don't want to put a lot of money into it. It's adequate as it is. So better to watch the cat eat because it's so boring. I, I get you, but if you're talking to the live stream while the cat's eating, it's less boring. Now, I've had this discussion with the cat plenty of times. I've explained to him that this is boring. I don't really like to watch you eat, and I'd prefer if you just eat unwatched. But he doesn't listen to me. The human experience is meant to suck. I mean, the funny thing about it is, it's like our experience of suckiness, the the scope of the spectrum of our experience goes from here to here, whereas the scope of reality goes from here to here. So it's like if we're way down here, we're still experiencing this part, but just shifted down here. Is so if you understand what I'm saying. Uh-oh. Being a 7 is not necessarily the best thing in the world. Oh, does this location? No, the reason we're moving from here, Boba Fett, is very simple. I mean, the reason staying here is not an option is twofold, but the reason we're moving right now is that people are building right across the street from us. We don't want to live during construction, near construction, or across the street from it. And once they're done, we don't want a person's house across the street looking down on our house into our second floor windows, you know? So, in that regard, when we moved in here, the first thing we did was try to buy that hill because I was very concerned of somebody buying something buying that hill and building across the street from us. We were unable to buy that hill, even though there was a sign on it saying it was for sale. For whatever reason, we were unable to buy it. However, even if we had done that, it would still be the right decision to move for a number of reasons. Financially, I need to make sure we have long term sustainability by establishing a positive cash flow. But additionally, it's a great house, but it's not exactly the right house for us. Um, we've got rooms here that go completely unused, except to be closets for Rachel. Someone else was able to buy it. Maybe they were sexier. I don't doubt that they were sexier than me. Whoever they were and whatever it is they were buying. That's a noble goal, Katie. The art of play. I never dedicated my life to anything. I just fell into shit. Just like now. It's like when you spend your whole life more or less broke. In other words, sometimes running a bit of a surplus, but like when I was with Candace, God, that woman, she spent a lot of money. Anyway, I've always been somebody who's had ideas, plans in theory, hypothetically, right? But never really been somebody who could implement such things. Because in order to successfully implement significant plans of any sort, you need resources. Here I find myself for the first time in my life being like, okay, Eric, well, Captain knows best. You're always like, what they should do is meow. Well, now you have to actually make real decisions, and they're gonna make or break your family's future. So, welcome to adulthood. I did invest my attention into what? Into this? Hi, Mackenzie. How are you doing? Where are we going to love to? We're going to move to near here. We're staying in Mariposa. We're just structuring things differently. Uh, and the thing is, how we're structuring things differently is very specific to Mariposa. So, other options are just off the table completely, really. It's just a matter of how to implement this idea successfully. Obs, we're going to need to get some cleaning ladies in here. Because, well, the main thing is I keep looking at this dirty carpet. I cleaned the carpet over here in certain spots where we had these stains. But now you can see this line of clean versus all the rest of it, which is grimy looking. Just, oh. I need to clean these carpets one way or the other. Clearly, YT is just a passive leisure pursuit for him. Oh, well, yeah. The thing is, when you say, like, I've directed my attention into this, um, what it is the case that I have put many, many hours into YouTube. And it's also the case that there have been stretches of time where I attempted to take it more seriously, or basically, which basically means to maximize revenue from it. But those efforts never had much sustained drive. I just found I couldn't do it. Because with the YouTube channel, it's really what Hero Lamb says. I do this. This is what I do for fun. Not just for fun. This is what I do to be me for lots of things. But it's not what I do with. It's not what I do as part of a plan to accomplish something. What I'm going to be doing in the upcoming weeks and months and so forth is part of a plan to accomplish something. Very different. Very, very different things. If in the process of doing this plan to accomplish things, I get busy and stop YouTubing for a few days or something, I don't care, right? In other words, one thing can be neglected and things will still be fine. The other thing cannot be neglected and things will still be fine. Yes, we are having a Christmas party, and that's part of what's going on right now. You know, I like this decision is such a difficult decision, but made less difficult if we're verboing. If we end up verboing this house, which is what I maximally think is going to happen now, whether we do it by a vacation rental property management company or whether we do it ourselves, um, then that clarifies decisions a lot. If that's the case, then we will get cleaning ladies out here before people come for the Christmas party, get the carpets cleaned, etc., and know that it's going to be a month or two before we need to get this place ready for rentals. It's going to take a while anyway, etc. If, on the other hand, we were to sell this house, then I'd really want to wait to get the cleaning ladies in here until after the Christmas party, so we don't have to do it twice. But because the time frame, because if we're not selling the house, the time frame becomes looser. Um, we just need to get out of the house before construction starts. Really, uh, I mean, it it modifies things a lot in terms of the plan, but we still need to figure out. We still need to crunch all those numbers on that. So it's like right now, my clarity regarding what we were going to do has been thrown all into a tizzy by the fact that we could use this house as a vacation rental, which I thought we couldn't until yesterday or the day before. It took me a little while to process how important that information is. The artwork and design is the most difficult. It isn't the most difficult part. It's the coordination because she wants to make clear that it's the coordination. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I could do all those things, Carlos. There's a lot of things I could do. A lot of things I could do to optimize this YouTube channel. Like this live stream is titled Moratorium. That's that's not a title that's really designed to bring people in. Moratorium, huh? It sounds like he's talking about municipal zoning policies. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, it is what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about a moratorium on vacation rentals, or the lack thereof. So, just when I thought it was safe to stop thinking about real estate for a little while and start thinking about the party and stuff, now I'm like, oh, I gotta think about it. The name of the channel also is an inside joke. That's hard for it to understand for people who didn't watch like the first couple of videos. It's not exactly an inside joke. You know, there was a time when I thought that I was going to do this channel by interviewing people. I tried to do that for a while. It's just that I didn't find very many people who wanted to be interviewed or were even willing to be interviewed. I was shocked. I basing the reality on myself, I thought everybody always wants to be interviewed. So it just turned out I was wrong, really, about what this channel would end up doing. So then, of course, I just changed the purpose of the title. Now it's like everybody I talk to on a live stream is a famous person. But you know, I when I was first doing this, there wasn't even live streaming. People want to be interviewed by famous people. Famous people don't want to be interviewed by regular people. Is that what you're saying? I probably got a point there. Let destiny take the wheel. Sounds like a line of dialogue from a movie about a bunch of people on drugs in a car with a stripper. Shortly thereafter, there's a car crash. As I shame the way that you are horrible. Your face looks moldy. That's 2 snappy comebacks to you, Carlos Paiva, in 2 days. What do you think about that? Would you like to come with me to the kitchen? 'Cause I've got something to show you. I think you're gonna find it a helpful bomb. Carlos Paiva, would you like some of this? Would you like some of that? Yes, you would. Why? Because you got burned. You got burned when I said your face was moldy. Because having a moldy face is bad. And that's why you got burned. Having a moldy face is bad. Something too far from the sidewalk. And I just won't abide no more that snide talk. And I just won't abide no more of that snide talk. Is the next thing that rhymes with what you were just saying. If you enjoy rhyming, or even if you don't enjoy rhyming, what I said was true. I don't enjoy rhyming. Well, fuck you. Oh. Can I have some of Carlos's aloe, please? Eric, just saying fuck you to somebody does not qualify as a burn. Okay. Neither does your face is moldy. Not even a little bit of a burn? No. Maybe it would have been if his face actually were moldy. Carlos Paiva, do you actually have mold on your face? Yes, I have a lot of mold on my face. I'm so Carlos Paiva talks. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to trigger you on such a sensitive point. I didn't mean to face mold shame you. I don't have my glasses. I am crippled in their absence. It's an ordinary day, a plain day, filled with lots of big things in the mix, but nevertheless an ordinary plain day. It's unfortunate that, in some sense, that I'm going to have a fairly good succession of plain days here. A plain day, I mean a day without amphetamines. A day without amphetamines is like a day without sunshine. So I just need to pretend I'm living in Seattle. And it's just overcast a lot, you know. It's not that you're sad, it's just that it's not shiny, you know. A lot of kind of ordinary tasks to do. Things like going to raves. Rachel and I, one of the problems with, that Rachel and I are facing is that we're not going to any raves. That's probably where we're not getting any drugs. Apparently, like, a lot of raves have just turned into, like, big sex parties. That's not what a rave used to be. In my day, a rave involved dancing. We danced the Charleston. The Coney Island strut. The Wichita wiggle. I like to think that someday we will return to the days when dances were named after cities. The city where they originated, you know. So like, this is the Mariposa. The Mariposa Man Dance. The thing is, whether your circumstances are objectively blessed like mine, or objectively stressful and hard like mine used to be, you still end up saying things like, ah, fuck my life. It's weird. In no sane universe should I ever utter those words. But they still involuntarily come out of my mouth, along with, I wish I were dead. I tell myself every time I say these words, stop saying those words, Eric. But old habits die hard. It's not like I ever meant it, except maybe sort of when I was my lowest as a drunk, but it's a habit I got in saying these things, you know. Shame and anxiety, shame and anxiety. I wish I were dead. I wish I were dead. It used to be like a mantra for me every morning. It's hard to be like Zen monk, enlightened, not stressed out about things, constantly aware of the big picture okayness of everything, despite the momentary suckiness of whatever. I don't know if it's a desirable state of being, but I know it's a hard one to attain. Well, you're only suffering because of your attachment, Eric. I'm not suffering at all, but I'm worried or stressed out or whatever, And that counts as something. It's not nothing to be worried or stressed out or whatever. And I think it's a very reasonable part of the human condition to wish you had more different and better drugs. It's kind of like a ongoing sadness I have. I wish I had more different and better drugs. It's true. And I'm understandably sad that I don't. But why can't I get high on drugs? That's the easiest way to feel good. Now, little Eric, you know my position on drugs. You already do too many of them. But, I don't, though. Well, maybe not right now, but you're prone to. But I like doing too many drugs. Well, you're going to have to grow up, little Eric. You're going to have to grow the fuck up. I don't want to grow up. That sounds like a real commitment to making your own fun happen, Kay. I'd be happy going to no parties at all if I could just have spontaneous dance parties at my house with one or two people that I didn't have to invite. That last 10 minutes before we're like, oh, let's order pizza and watch a movie. Crunchy roll and chill. And that's when the orgy starts. Apparently, people say Crunchyroll and chill now instead of Netflix and chill. I was like, Crunchyroll's gotten that big? I remember watching a Crunchyroll back in the Temple City house, watching Naruto. I can't believe how big it's become. There is more good anime, KE. It's just that if you have exhausted all the existing supply of good anime, like I have, you have to wait for the new ones to come out each week. So, like this morning, KE, you are so full of poo that I don't even know what to do with you. I can't. You're too difficult to clean up now. You're so covered in poo. Could you be more wrong about anything? The answer is no. In fact, almost all of the best anime has come out since 2014. With the exception of Naruto Shippuden. I'm a little full of poo too, KE. I mean, Attack on Titan. What? How many examples did I possibly give you? Fire Force, Attack on Titan, World Trigger, Blue Exorcist. I mean, I could continue forever. Well, it may have started before 2014, but it just ended like a couple months ago. And what about the other ones I named? Um, I really love I Will Survive Using Potions. I think that one's great. I liked I was reborn as a vending machine and now I wander the dungeon. Um, so I'm a spider, so what? One of my favorite animes. I was reincarnated as a slime, one of my favorites. All of those came out since 2014. Okay, E. You are in a fighty mood this morning, aren't you? I should just, that should be in the dictionary. The definition of the word incredibly wrong statement is isekai sucks. You just put definition of the word lie, falsehood, isekai sucks. Example, isekai sucks. Ne'er has there been a falser statement spoken. You and your love affair with falsehoods is. All right, KE, you're getting a wonder point for that sentence. You earned one. KE says the following ridiculous sentence. This guy only works in Korean manhwas where the main lead is reincarnated as the villain of a romantic fiction. That's the sort of like hyper nerd shit that it's just like you want to put as a community post. I mean, I sometimes enjoy reverse harems. Like, for example, the Saint's power is omnipotent is sort of a reverse harem, and I'm highly invested into the relationship between the lead character and Commander Hawk, who's who's winning the competition for her affections. And they're clearly the ones who are going to end up together, but she's still got other boys pursuing her, you know. I'm not generally super interested in harem, regular harem. I feel like the dynamics of regular harem, they can be fun still. I can still enjoy it. They're so ridiculous, right? It's like there's this Japanese guy who's like 16 years old. He goes to another world. He has this entourage of teenage girls, all of whom are in love with him, but he treats them in a paternal way and and doesn't fuck them. It's very strange. If there is more than one romantic interest you're tabbing out, well, most of the harem like isekais, they aren't really romantic. They just kind of play on adolescent male fantasies. Oh yeah, well KE, you and I are totally on the same page regarding that. Um, I don't mind the dynamics of the harem because it has that paternalistic that he never fucks any of them, you know. um, and I don't mind it in the reverse harem because they're all competing for her, but she only picks one. It's not like she switches between partners and stuff. I'm also have this FI polar kind of phobia of impermanence of romantic relationships. Well, I don't keep in mind, Kay. I don't really read manga at all. I never really read it. So I'm with you, Ke. Unfortunately, the rest of the world didn't necessarily agree with us, which is in part why we go through multiple partners because they keep failing utterly to be adequate, right? But now that I've found my compatible mate, obviously I'm not going anywhere. That's my hope. This is why I don't mind if someday an AI imposed one partner on me. Both people would have to be very obedient to the AI, I think, for that to work. Or just let people do what they want as long as they're on the same page. Well, yeah, sure, Diamond, but the problem is anytime anybody gets into a relationship, they're purportedly on the same page regarding fidelity, unless they explicitly have some kind of open relationship, which is not a relationship at all in my mind. But the problem is there are some people who are looking for certainty in terms of their relationship stuff, right? And and people like that, people like me, we find permissiveness regarding sex scary because obviously the worst thing that can happen to you if you're in a relationship and you're operating under the assumption that your partner is being faithful is to discover that they're not. Equivalent significance would be to assume you're both on the same page that you're in this relationship long term, only to have your partner be like, I'm not happy anymore. I'm leaving. Because in those instances, the prime directive is being disrupted. Because FI polar people or FI polar, they most want their maps to dictate reality, to be reliable regarding reality in areas where they can't defend themselves or use attention well to make determinations. If I'm an FI person, I'm probably I'm a lot more aware of how I feel about the other person at any given moment. Instead, like for me, I know very clearly what my relationship with Rachel is and that it's a good relationship, etc., a bunch of other things. And a bunch of other positive things. But most of the time I'm not feeling emotions about her, I suppose, that I notice. So what I'm trying to explain, Lou, is because my FI is blind and I'm not operating on a short-term time scale regarding what I want. In other words, when it comes to love and relationships and stuff, I'm not evaluating my interactions with people based on how I feel about them. I'm evaluating my interactions with people based on either what's being said or how they feel about me. So as a consequence, I need to know that what I find precious, I need to know that it can be reliably predicted to be stable, unchanging, not part of something in flux or whatever. So so for me, it's important that statuses be made very clear and be very easily defined. Uh, an open relationship, and even conceptually, has way too many variables for me to even conceivably handle in terms of my FI. I'm not FI proficient enough to deal with the different kind of feelings that would go along with that, you know? So, so anything other than long-term relationship fidelity for me makes me feel unsafe, very unsafe. And accordingly, as per what KE was saying, media that involves cheating, emotionally unclear relationships and stuff can make me uncomfortable and make me want to watch something else. I can't imagine it either, Kay. It's like I don't want my emotions engaged by my by the sexual part of my life. I want to be in a relationship where that very emotionally volatile stuff is compartmentalized in a safe place. I can't handle going through life with a bunch of different, with a lot of emotional volatility, which necessarily goes along with intimacy with multiple people. Well, no, when I said that, I don't see open relationships as really being relationships. You're right. That was me being projecting my function bias onto other people. For people who aren't meaning based and or who are deft at writing volatile feelings. In fact, perhaps they feel like they're in their wheelhouse when they've got a lot of strong feelings one way or another happening on a regular basis. A lot of novelty in that FI subjectivity areas, FISE, stuff. A lot of variation in there. Well, then that's might be what they want, and if they find a person who wants that, then that might be the right thing for them. And I guess it would be reductive to just say it doesn't qualify as a relationship. It doesn't qualify as a monogamous relationship. So, but yeah, the reason why LTR people, monogamy LTR people like me, tend to universalize that, sleeping around is bad is that we view sex as having more significance in terms of meaning and feelings than to treat it as a vice, as an indulgence. The further away you are from your subjectivities, the more universalist you are, the more you want to eliminate inconstancy from the sex equation. not be grossed out by the thought. That's a very low bar, okay? That's a very FI polar low bar. I mean, basically, I want to eliminate dating, romance, all that stuff from my life entirely. Best way to do that is to get married. But I also have an implicit desire to be part of a two-person team. I need a partner, and I don't want more than one involved in my inner circle life decision making thing, right? So Rachel and I function as a two-person team, Rachel and Eric. I don't want us to primarily be something that functions as part of a larger group, like an SO Enneagram person would be. And I don't want us to each keep our shit separate so that we don't infringe on each other's independence. That would be like an SX person. I mean, an SP person. I want us to function as a real two-person team. We each have some roles to play, and we don't, we're not interchangeable in those roles, but they're coordinated together as part of a team of equals, a team of two equals, who, unlike other kinds of governance structures, usually if you have co-presidents, it's not going to work very well, right? What do you do if they disagree with each other? Only in a truly compatible, loving relationship can you have co-presidents. But see, the thing is, Diamond, it's not so much that. It's not like if you can find someone who can fulfill everything you want fulfilled, then one person is enough. It's more like you either can only be fulfilled by one person or you can't be fulfilled by one person. It seems much more like that to me. And whether or not you can be fulfilled depends on what parts of your life you're prioritizing as absolute values. If they're very sensory and subjective, then you possibly can't be fulfilled by one person indefinitely because there's you're looking for your absolute value in fulfilling your subjectivities, like paying attention to what your subjectivities are, like, ooh, that girl over there is hot and my wife's out of town. And subjectivities like um you know, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't mean anything because I love my wife, but this is just sex. Things like that. Those kind of subjectivities are things you can understand might be absolute values, and in circumstances where they are, then there's a diminished likelihood that you're going to find staying with one person indefinitely fulfilling. If instead your subjectivities are in service of your objectivities, um, then you're gonna feel much like you're gonna want your subjectivities to be safe, unchanging, etc., so that you can deal with changing objectivities or establishing objectivities. Vice versa if it's the other way around. Well, here I am. I mean, I agree with you, obviously, that um, that if you're sleeping around and you don't love your wife, but what if you and your wife have an agreement that, you know, when she's out of town, she might sleep with some hot young waiter at the restaurant, and you're free to do the same with some lady you met at the subway, you know? Those kind of relationships exist. Why do they exist? Because both parties prioritize the autonomy in their subjectivities like that. They want autonomy to enjoy what they enjoy in the moment and not have that interfered with, and have that enjoying what they enjoy in the moment not interfere with their overall relationship. So, like, I don't want to be with a woman who doesn't like it when she sees me smoking Adderall. You can imagine plenty of wives. I mean, I've lived my whole life having to hide certain things from my woman because she didn't approve, right? It doesn't make it scary if you know what that thing is. Um, I am Marita. You're not sorry to say that. You're just a hater. People they try these same kind of techniques all the time. Like they want to say that, hey buddy, something's not right with you. Yeah. I mean, idiots don't have a lot of ideas. So the point is, like, you might say, that's unfair to any prospective spouse, Eric, to expect them to be okay with you smoking speed. And even if you found such a spouse, it'd be horrible. Then you'd both be on a downward spiral to nowhere. Well, that's from other people's perspectives. For me and Rachel, she never judges me for shit like that. And we have a great relationship. Some SFJ might say a wife's responsibility is to check her husband on shit like that. How could they have a good relationship when she's not stepping in and saying and holding up a stop sign? Well, the answer is I don't need to be told what to do about that. And I don't want to be told what to do. Now, I could never be like that about sex, ever, ever, ever. But I can conceive of an analog where some two parties in a relationship are that way about sex. Like Rachel also is, she has her own thing. She's like, she wants to sleep till whenever she wants to sleep into, whether it's noon every day or not. And she doesn't want me to get her up and say, let's go do something, you know. For certain people like an STJ, that would be a stone cold deal breaker, right? They'd be like, I'm sorry, you are asking something that you could never possibly ask of any spouse reasonably. What is love? Meh, meh, meh. Meh, 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 meh. Well, people do get married for a lot of reasons. I think, from my perspective, love is not a good reason to get married because I don't even know what that is really. It's hard to define. Um, if it's an emotion, then obviously sometimes you feel it more than others. So how could it be a decision? I mean, I just don't get how people can make decisions on emotions, I guess. But obviously people do. I know many married folks who are deceiving one another. No, I'm not saying I don't follow. I mean, obviously, I try to be as righteous and moral a person as I can. I just am probably making decisions for a different explanation as to why, if even if we'd make the same decision, right? My point is trying to express here, Lamb, that other people they may think about sex like what I was saying about drugs or um, sleeping in, right? What comprises a deal breaker area of autonomy for you? You can, I'm willing to change here, but don't mess with this, right? It's conceivable that two people who want to be in a relationship with each other might have that same attitude towards sex. I can't personally put myself in those shoes and imagine being like that, but I can come up with an analog which I presented. So that's my point. It's probably a bad thing to try to universalize immoral finger wagging against things that are consensual, even if we don't approve. So I'll go in the garage and find a butt or two to smoke. I'm gonna have full cigarettes, so I'm not gonna have a super long stream this morning anyway. I mean, I agree with you, here, Lamb. I can't imagine it being healthy. I don't. I can't think of examples where people are like, we started doing this and it's the best thing ever, and we're still together now. I can think of examples where introducing a third party into something like that destroyed the relationship. But the limits of my imagination, the inability of me to put myself in the shoes of every other possible human being and their values and perspectives is not a good reason to universalize that it's always a bad thing, or that it's never actually consensual, fully, involving fully informed consent of the various parties who are mutually enthusiastic about it without reservations. There's a lot of reasons to doubt it in most cases, right? But that's not a reason to universalize that it's always bad. I think probably usually it is, though, that you're right. I think in most instances where there's a couple who is a monogamous long-term relationship and then they make a determination to introduce a third party into it, it ends in disaster. Like, if you're talking about like two people who meet at a sex dungeon or something, well then it's like their relationship starts with treating sex like drugs. They both treat it like that. It's conceivable that they would continue to treat it like that and also be in a relationship together. Sex dungeon. Personally, I like to keep my Dungeons and Dragons and my sex entirely separate. But not everybody does, you know. Some people want to be tied up against the pole and whipped or something. Personally, to me, that sounds like it would hurt. It would make me say, ow, what are you doing? Okay, stop. Does anybody have any aloe? I feel as burned as Carlos Paiva. I think aloe would be a good thing to put on whip marks. I don't know what you call this, like whip wounds. If somebody whips you and it leaves a mark on your back, is it called a whip mark or a whip wound or what? Love makes you do shit you wouldn't otherwise do. Love is not rational. Well, I do know that I have my own experiences of understanding how much I love Rachel and how precious she is to me. But knowledge that I have those strong feelings, awareness of how much a loss would hurt, is something that I can designate as a status, have it inform things without having to actually feel those feelings, you know? Lash gash. Oh, is that what it's called? Okay, good to know. That's a great inky pinky, ink pink, you know? A whip, the mark left by a whip, ink pink. It's a lash gash. Maybe you should transition. Transition is such a funny word. So they say about people who go from elementary school to middle school. You don't graduate from elementary school. You transition into a middle schooler. And then you transition into a high schooler. And then you graduate. Have fun at your meeting. Don't be too green-faced about it. Just smile and nod. Everything will be fine. It's good advice that men have given women for millennia. Just smile and nod. Where would the human race be without pretty women with little ability to think about the consequences? I mean, I think love makes men not think about the consequences of things or prioritize their woman over those consequences. You know, obviously, it was not a plan to have Rachel move into my dad's house. It just happened, you know. And I don't regret it, even though I know it was probably hurtful to my dad. Because I love Rachel. Is Mackenzie coming to the Christmas party? That'd be fun. Everybody knows a Christmas party is made 1.3 times better by the presence of a Mackenzie. Anecdotally, I find men to be the ones who least care about the consequences. I do too. Anecdotally, KE. So take our anecdotes and smoke them. Because nothing's more powerful than an anecdote. If you've taken poison, you need an anecdote right now. So, anyway, you know, the advantage of loving and committing your whole heart and soul to your wife and your other person, you know, is that you get all the puss you want. It's pretty good. You need to do something with my hair. It's not cooperating today. Well, maybe you need to have it attend a human resources meeting where it explains better how to be a team player. Maybe you need to do one of those trust exercises where your hair falls back and you catch it. I assumed it autocorrected or something. I read it right, don't worry. Enter the character creation screen in front of your mirror in bathroom. Shave it bald, reroll charisma. It wrong. It's already doing so every day on the ground. You didn't catch it? Maybe it should catch you instead. Have you considered G.I. Janeing it? Then you don't have to worry about your hair. It's nice and short. You won't have to pull hairs out of the drain. It'll be wonderful. So Rachel did that one time. And I remember thinking, how wonderful. There are no longer hairs all over the bathroom. Curly, huh? Well, it sounds like you need to get yourself a box of straightener. By putting straightener in your hair, you can make it nice and flat. Don't worry, KE. Chemical straightener is actually good for your hair. It adds body, sheen, and it unsplits your ends. It unifies your ends. End unifying, body and sheen enhancing chemical straightener. That's what you need. You need it badly. Oh, you don't like it, huh? Imagine having straight ends and curly roots. Huh. Okay, I will. All right, I got a new plan for you then. How about you wear a hat? What do you think about that? How's that for a solution? Pretty good plan. That way you don't have to worry about it. If you have kind of longish hair, you just push it back up here, like tuck it back up there. See, it's a ball that fills out this part. And then no one will even see your hair. You have a couple of wigs. You wear a wig on top of your regular hair. Well, good idea. You should wear a red wig. You should make today your day that you're a ginger. You don't want to flat iron your hair, huh? Consider going ginger today. Get blazing red hair, and then with makeup, put some freckles on you. Like that. What do you say? What do you think? What do you think about my plan? Introduce yourself to people as Conan O'Brien. Cherry dark red hair, huh? You sometimes punk it up and go like blue or green. It's like, I'm Punky. Punky Brewster. I can picture you doing that, Kay. And everyone's like, yes, Kay, we know you're punky. That's poser punk? What's real punk? Okay, well, what about, here I am, a mohawk haircut? Have you considered that as real punk, or is that also fake punk? What type do you think Conan is? I don't know, but I think he's not funny, boring, etc. You did all the colors, huh? The Exploited did it, so it's cool. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Mohawk haircuts are okay. What about a faux hawk? Is a faux hawk acceptable? And would everyone agree that the exact opposite of a punk rock haircut is a man bun? If you're going for punk rock, you've emerged from the barbershop with a man bun. Either you or the barber did not understand what punk rock was. Maybe both. A faux man bun. I'm not sure how you do a faux man bun. What do you think about a faux hawk with a man bun? Do you think that that would be a good look? How about a front man bun, a small faux hawk, and then a back man bun? I think that would be a good look. Yeah, but right now we're talking fashion, Hero Lamb, okay? We're not talking reality. We're talking fashion. Like, what would you say my fashion is right now? It's like mountain fashion. Got a Yosemite shirt on, got a kind of cold weather hat on. But one thing that I've noticed that models do a lot is they seem to have trouble keeping their coats on both shoulders. They're always like, I can't get my coat onto this shoulder. Or, I'm taking my jacket off, but I'm stuck. Mountain chic. Yeah. Mountain chic like the oil chic, I guess. In other words, it's half mountain, half hijab. What do you guys think people would, How do you think people would respond if I went around wearing a full hijab? Just with the eyes showing. Do you think people would celebrate my diversity? Why aren't you celebrating my diversity? All right, I'll keep that in mind. Caramel. I'll pour caramel on my head. That should help. All right, I'm going to. Oh, I can't keep my pants on tightly enough. Right. Yeah. I gotcha. I understand. Your pants are chafing. There's that wonderful episode of Simpsons where one of the boys, I forget his name, the one with the hat like this kind of hat. He's like trying to hook up with some girl, and he goes, "My shirt is chafing me." And he takes it off. He says, "Now my pants are chafing me." So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. It's I've got a kind of a dull day ahead of me, and also kind of a intense day ahead of me. I'm not on any amphetamines. Probably I'm out of cigarettes. I'll probably watch a cartoon and take a little nap before we got to get up and go do this real estate stuff. So thanks all for being here, Ruben. I'll see you soon, and hasta la vista, potatoes.